No longer are we having a conversation on whether we like medical cannabis, whether we believe in medical cannabis, whether we want medical cannabis. That was decided by voters. So it's incredibly disheartening that lawmakers are not listening. They are choosing to completely disregard what their constituents passed.
I kind of feel like Dan Parsons. Dan Parsons lost his job on the conservative talk radio show in Lincoln for using the F word. What the F word is? Facts.
Hey, it's Dan Parsons with an emergency edition of the Go Fact Yourself Fact of the Week. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show Crista Eggers with Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana. Crista, welcome back.
Hey, thank you, Dan. Glad to be on today.
Yeah, let me set this up. Despite 71% of Nebraskans voting to legalize medical marijuana with a physician's recommendation, the bill to implement the wishes of voters is stuck in committee. So the microphone is yours, Crista.
Okay. Like you said, overwhelmingly, Nebraska voters voted on two initiatives and passed both of them. One dealing with the patient protections of medical cannabis access, and one dealing with the regulations and what the private industry that will be providing the medicine to patients will look like. 71% of voters statewide voted for this issue. Every legislative district, all 49 districts, meaning that every senator in the legislature, their constituents voted for this issue. And so our hope and what we envisioned happening was, although the two initiatives are signed into law by the governor, making 5 ounces of medical cannabis possession for medical use with a written recommendation from a healthcare practitioner, although that is in law, there is still no legal way for a patient to access their medicine. Patients essentially still are criminals. And when we drafted this language and bringing 2 statutory initiatives, we very much expected the legislature to weigh in on the regulations, provide framework and safeguards. We want this to be treated as a medicine. We want it to be regulated as a medicine. We want to provide safeguards and framework that are good for patients and offer protections. And we also want to make sure it's good for the state as a whole. And we know, by being one of the very last states to implement a medical program, that there are good ways to do it and there are ways that are not so great. So before us, we have an opportunity for Nebraska, the 49th state in the nation, to act on this issue of medical cannabis access. We have the opportunity to hopefully roll out the best medical program the nation has ever seen. And unfortunately, what has happened is the bills that were brought earlier this session by the legislature, there were several bills, and we as advocates, took a long, hard look at each of them, saying what accomplishes what we want to see most, what is best for patients, what respects the will of what the voters passed in November. And it was Senator Ben Hanson's LB 677. It completely respected and left alone the 437 petition, what voters enacted in terms of, not limiting conditions, not limiting ailments, how or in what way a patient would access their medicine. But what it did do is it took the regulations and took a very serious look at how do we provide patient protections. How do we have an industry that is going to provide the medicine to patients? How do we make sure that industry is safe, it's regulated, that they are providing, highly tested, safe products that are being consumed by medical patients? And so we very much supported Senator Hanson's bill. What has unfortunately happened is that when it went through the General Affairs Committee, which is made up of 8 different senators, we offered several amendments trying to find some middle ground on what this committee would feel comfortable voting on, made numerous concessions, and I think we got close. There were several amendments in the end. One was the Hanson Amendment, one was the Holdcroft Amendment. Senator Rick Holdcroft is the committee chair. But unfortunately, when they went to vote and exec on this, they were not able to garner the votes to push anything out of committee. And so LB 677, with amendments, did not pass out of General Affairs.
What was the vote?
Yeah, it was 3-5, and the three supportive senators were Senator John Kavanaugh, Senator Victor Roundtree, and Senator Dan Quick. And so it very much was a partisan vote. There were 3 here and 5 here, and so that was, frustrating isn't the word. Enraging isn't the word. Disappointing isn't even the word. To know that voters in all these senators' districts overwhelmingly spoke on this issue, but yet we were not able to come together, even with concessions and changing some things to, again, increase safeguards, but also respect the will of the people, that we were not able to have 8 members of the body come together in a way to push something out of committee, not to pass it.
Yeah, just to get it to the floor.
Just to give it its day on the floor. I think that was incredibly, incredibly sad. Senator Hansen decided to submit a pull motion, and a pull motion is used when a bill is stuck in committee, as this is.
Very rarely used as a
It is. It's
tactic.
very, some would call it unprecedented. I believe we have a situation that's very unprecedented.
You're damn right it is. Yeah.
And we are trying to put in place rules and regulations and safeguards, and yet it doesn't seem like anyone's listening. So I believe, that was the right thing to do, was to file this pull motion. In the meantime, we've continued to have conversations with senators, find out where they're at on this issue, remind them of how their constituents have voted. And I will tell you that just yesterday, we were able to work with Senator Holdcroft, Senator Hansen, and believe that there is a compromise that is going to be reached. It is it's not ideal. I think what we're learning is no one is going to get 100% on this.
Well, that's what compromise is about, right?
It is.
You win a little, you lose a little, both sides.
So we're very grateful for Senator Hansen's commitment to this issue. He has absolutely been committed. And this is, one more step where I'm hoping that the General Affairs Committee, back to these 8 senators, have realized, as they have heard loud and clear from their constituents, whether it's emails, people showing up here in Lincoln, just even the public support that's going into this weekend, which I'll talk about in a minute, of town halls and letting voters make sure that their voice is heard. And so I believe that we will see something that is a bit more amended, definitely does not adhere to what most will say what the voters voted for. But our goal has always been to see a safe and regulated medical system that helps patients. And we are not going to get it all. This is Nebraska. We have a tremendous and very powerful and very well-funded opposition working against us. And so as advocates, we are still navigating how do we make sure that we accomplish what we set out to do. But we also, we hear that voters voted very specifically for medical cannabis access, not a list of ailments, not restrictions in how they can, consume their medicine or the vehicles which they use. But we still want to get something done. And we truly believe the best way and the best thing for Nebraskans is to pass a bill in the legislature this session.
Well, and I would think in this political atmosphere that we're all living through, that those state senators on that committee, the 5 who voted, who refused to vote this, not even to approve it, but to vote it out so their colleagues have a chance to debate it and vote on it in the floor of the legislature. Because we're running out of time in this 90-day session. We're on what, 70, 71 here today. They still got to get through the budget. There's still a lot of stuff they got to get done. So the arrogance, I'll just say it, damn it, the arrogance of those 5 senators to not listen to their voters, to their constituents.
That's what this boils down to, right? This is no longer are we having a conversation on whether we like medical cannabis, whether we don't believe in medical cannabis, whether we want medical cannabis.
It's the law of the state of Nebraska.
That was decided by voters. And so when we're still having conversations about whether we're going to do this or not, it's incredibly frustrating because that is not where we're at anymore. That ship sailed many, many years ago. went away after 9 legislative attempts over a decade to somehow pass something.
Yeah.
We didn't choose to go to the ballot because we wanted to.
That's right.
Because we thought it sounded fun. We had to go to the ballot because that was our only choice.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly disheartening. And I believe that Nebraskans are feeling this, that lawmakers are not listening. They are choosing to completely disregard what their constituents passed. So
we're turning up the heat, folks. Boys and girls, we're going to turn up the damn heat this weekend. And so talk about what's going on with these town hall meetings and how we need to hit the alarm button so people show up for these town hall meetings.
Yeah. So again, incredibly disheartening that we're having to do this, but I believe that voters, although they spoke loud and clear in November, they need another platform besides just emailing their senators to make them listen and demand that lawmakers respect and start representing who they are elected to represent, not who they're choosing to let represent, their votes. So we are going, NMM is not the host. Several senators have taken the initiative to set up town hall meetings. And this is an opportunity for voters, no matter how they feel on the issue, to come and solidify what their vote was and also talk about what they were voting for, because there is a narrative that voters didn't know what they voted for. I can tell you voters are not stupid.
No.
And every voter in this state that is being pointed at saying they didn't know or they were misled needs to show up. And so we are urging everyone who cares about this issue, please come on this Saturday, May 3rd. We are holding one in La Vista for Sarpy County. There will also be one held in Kearney on Saturday as well. Sunday, there is one in Omaha. And then Monday evening, there's one in Lincoln. And so hopefully you can put those graphics up, give everybody the information there.
Yep.
And you do not have to be a constituent or someone that lives in that area. We are hoping that we can expand and do these in other parts of the state. We have not forgotten about our friends way out east or way out west or northwest or northeast, the rest of the state. But we are turning this very, very quickly. And, we are limited on time. And so please come out, be vocal, bring a friend, and tell these senators what you voted for and demand action. I hope that this message is going to be heard loud and clear. We will be live streaming it on the NMM Facebook site. Just go to NMM. We'll be sending an email out. Please take a few minutes to come. I know people do not feel that their vote and their voice is listened to. Yeah. We need folks' this final step. This is truly the final step to make their voices heard. And I believe that if we have a strong outpouring of support and are vocal, I believe they are listening.
We can affect change. And I'll give you the chance to name some names. Let's start with the folks who are helping you. Let's talk about those state senators who are helping with these town hall meetings and are at, being able to help you in the legislature. Let's start naming some names.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the hosting senators for these town halls, at least in the metro area here: Senator John Kavanaugh, Senator Ben Hansen, Senator Rick Holdcroft. And then we have co-sponsors as well. And I will list those: Senator Tom Brandt, Senator Michaela Kavanaugh, Senator Wendy DeBoer, Senator Myron Dorn, Senator George Dungan, Senator George Frederickson, Senator Hunt, Senator Juarez, Senator Raybould, Senator Merv Reapy has decided to become a co-host as well, which we're very excited about. Senator Roundtree and Senator Spivey. Senator Klaus is hosting his in Kearney on Saturday. So we are very grateful for that group of individuals that are recognizing they need to hear, they want to hear from voters, and this is the way to do it. We hope that there's other senators that will join in, especially some of the senators who have been oppositional to us, those that voted against moving this out of committee. We are hosting these town halls in their areas amongst the constituents that they represent. And so I would encourage people out there to also reach out to their senators. Again, this is not an event by NMM. This is an event by the Nebraska Legislature, who again, certain senators have made it a point to want to hear from voters.
Yeah. Crista Eggers, I can't thank you enough for all the years and years and years of work that you and your team and so many, many, many others have put into this. And we're so damn close.
We are.
So
We've made change. And I want voters to understand that although that change, we haven't seen it yet, the vote in November was change. It was a win. And this is a long journey, right? We have many more challenges ahead, but we're going to just focus on what's before us right now and continuing to move to our goals so that Nebraska patients have access to this life-changing medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. Crista, we're going to blast this out this weekend to our audience and ask them to respond. So
Okay.
We'll be watching. We'll be checking in with you. Please, if there's any updates over the weekend, let us know.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Dan.
Okay, as we thought might happen, there is a major update since we recorded this episode with Crista just yesterday morning. Yesterday afternoon, LB 677 did advance 5-3 from the General Affairs Committee. A newly adopted compromise amendment that was passed Thursday out of committee features a key modification. Qualified patients or caregivers can now purchase up to 2 ounces of cannabis flower or bud. And consistent with the latest version of Senator Hansen's bill, the amendment now provides that smoking remains prohibited and post-traumatic stress will not be recognized as a qualifying medical condition. Here's what Crista just texted me a few minutes ago. I think today we saw that the determination and the grit and the hurdles and the setbacks, they've all been worth it. We are extremely happy, end quote. The latest changes won over the conservative state senators Rick Holdcroft of Bellevue and Stan Klaus of Kearney, who voted to advance the bill, along with 3 Democrat state senators, John Kavanaugh of Omaha, Dan Quick of Grand Island, and Victor Roundtree of Bellevue. State Senators Bob Anderson of North Central Sarpy County, Barry DeKay of Niobrara, and Jared Storm of David City, all Republicans in the officially nonpartisan body, again voted to oppose LB 677. Crista, along with Senators Hansen and Holdcroft, all noted that the path ahead won't be easy. Crista describing it as a huge journey, and Senator Holdcroft said he anticipated an uphill battle. Senator Hansen said that he was still too early to tell whether he could get 33 votes and pass the bill over the finish line. All the more reason, boys and girls, to pack the town hall meetings this weekend and Monday. Well, my thanks to Crista Eggers for all your hard work on this important issue. Go Fact Yourself t-shirts are available from our friends at Raygun, the greatest store in the universe, in Omaha, Lincoln, or online. Partial proceeds support local journalism and our friends at Flatwater Free Press. My thanks to Chase Porter for all your excellent work to produce this episode. And thanks to each of you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Go to one of those town hall meetings, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Now go do good things. I'm Dan Parsons.